The Gordie Howe International Bridge Project is set to transform how people and trade moves through North America. It is located between Windsor, Ontario and Detroit, Michigan, and features not only the longest cable-stayed bridge in North America, but also the two largest ports of entry along the Canadian-US border. It is also the only international crossing in the Windsor-Detroit Gateway that connects directly to the Ontario highway system and the US interstate system. As you approach the bridge from Highway 401, you will enter the Canadian port of entry. That is approximately 53 hectares or 130 acres in size, and features state-of-the-art technology and modern infrastructure that place a priority on ease of movement for commercial and passenger travelers.
We're currently standing at the tolling canopy and the toll administration building. Well, this is the first thing that you'll see upon entering the Canadian port of entry. The tolling facility is a large canopy. It's shaped like a propeller. The intent is that it's supposed to be symbolic of a wind turbine, essentially. So it's a pretty unique looking structure.
We've got 8 toll booths for traffic heading into Canada and 8 for traffic heading to the US. We've incorporated technology into these lanes, so it'll be able to read transponders. If you have an account with us, you'll be able to pay by credit card. The booths will be set up for electronic payment. The building that you see off to the side there is the operation center for the toll booths. So the toll operators will be there in that building. And then in the background, you can see the signs that lead you to the Right Honorable Herb Gray Parkway. So you can see the connection to the highway is just on the other side of the toll booths. The tolls, how to pay, how to get a transponder, and how to set up an account, all of that information will be rolled out closer to the opening day. So I'm standing in front of the Client Processing Center and the Processing Center for pedestrians and cyclists. So right behind me is the dedicated CBSA inspection area for cyclists and pedestrians. So you'll come off the multi-use path that surrounds the port of entry. You'll come through a turnstile and you'll be able to enter onto a dedicated path that's separated from the traveling lanes. And you cross over, the path actually overlooks downtown Windsor and downtown Detroit.
That area has a large vaulted fence enclosure around it. We don't want vehicles and people interacting on the bridge, but so there is a continuous, safe, covered pathway to US.
When you return through there, you'll come into this area and you'll have to move through the inspection area that you see right behind me.
There's a bicycle staging area. It's essentially a secured compound. And again, there could be an opportunity where somebody may want to ask you some questions.
As you cross the Gordie Howe International Bridge and enter Canada, you will find modern border capabilities that focus on a customer-centric experience, with 24 primary inspection lanes separating commercial and non-commercial traffic, outbound inspection facilities, and on-site offices for government agencies to generate efficiencies for all travelers.
So we're standing in front of the primary inspection lanes for the port of entry. So this is the first location that any traveler coming into Canada will come up to. We've got 12 inspection lanes on the traveler side, or where cars will come through, and 12 on the commercial side.
So we have single lane, single height. We also have bi-level and high level. So again, for some of the passenger vehicles, maybe you might have an RV or a very large truck. You would go to one of the taller booth locations. Similarly, for the commercial traffic, mostly heavy transport truck traffic, they would be going through a high-level booth. And then there is uniquely a bi-level booth, which would be flexible for car or RV traffic.
So as you approach the lanes, you'll see which ones are Nexus and which ones are normal lanes, which ones are closed. So as you're approaching, the signs behind us here will be lit up, telling you which lane you're supposed to go to, depending on whether you have Nexus and you can cross through easily, or if you're a bus or an RV, you may be directed to these 4 over here that can service those. You'll get up to the lane, you'll speak with the officer at the lanes, and you'll either move through to secondary or you'll pass through to the toll facilities.
So we're now standing directly in front of the secondary inspection building. So this is the facility where our friends from CBSA may invite you inside to have a second look or a closer look at your vehicle. So it's equipped with a number of inspection bays. So the white structure behind me is the main canopy. It's connecting the main building, the operations center, to the secondary inspection center. It's effectively a very large protected parking lot so that anybody that's being asked to come inside for some additional questioning, or maybe has some things some goods they need to claim, will pull off into this area and get out of traffic. So the main canopy is effectively a hockey net that's been turned on its face.
One of the key features of this canopy is that there are translucent panels on it. So you get some natural light in there. So while it's covered, you still have natural light in the area. It's one of the many features that have been incorporated in the project because the project's LEED certified.
So the main building is the administrative area for all the key stakeholders. So WDBA, CBSA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, as well as the operation maintenance team.
The building itself is where that you would go in to pay duties or report into CBSA. The half of the building that's right behind me is where travelers would go into. There's a mirror image of that on the commercial side where commercial travelers would go into. So this panel has two purposes. One, it's an architectural feature, so it highlights the building and enhances the look of the building. They also provide shade.
So we're currently standing on the west side of the main building, the operations center, specifically in front of the commercial warehouse. So this area is for all the incoming traffic for commercial goods coming to Canada. It's also equipped with a cab check area where people can inspect physically underneath the vehicle, as well as the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency warehouse. There is cold storage. There's a small walk-in freezer facility in the warehouse, as well as an animal penning area, which in that location, animals can be taken off the vehicle safely in an organized fashion. They're staged, inspected, and then they can be reloaded onto the vehicles. So commercial traffic will come in through the commercial lanes on the west side of the pill. They'll be directed to a specific area within the west parking lot, which is just off to the side here. There are a number of commercial parking lanes where the transport trucks can be staged, and then ultimately they'll be tagged and asked to come back into the warehouse, be offloaded, inspected, and hopefully cleared for passage into Canada, at which point they're then given the green light to head through the toll. So as the commercial traffic is coming in through the canopy, they would be directed to the far west side of the site. Just behind me in the background is the hazmat canopy.
With the amount of commercial goods crossing this, we thought it would be a prudent idea to include a hazardous materials canopy in the case that we have a truck that has to be stored on here for an extended period of time, or the potential that there was a leaking truck that would come through. It could be stored there until it was dealt with. Keeping this over here away from the building isolates any potential risk from anybody in secondary as well as anybody working on the site. So we're still in the commercial secondary area. In the background here is the Largescale Imaging, which is basically a full-scale truck-sized X-ray building. So you drive a semi into the building, it can be X-rayed there and then drive back through. Trucks will be directed here. If they are directed here, they'll queue up and they'll run through.
One thing that is unique is because it does have the X-ray system inside, there is the potential for radiation. So the walls inside this facility are over 1 meter thick. Having a massive X-ray machine mounted to a gantry that's mobile and will scan the entire truck is, I think, pretty unique and interesting.
This is only the second Canadian crossing that has a large-scale imaging facility in it. So this is a very important feature of this particular crossing.
So we're currently standing in front of the maintenance facility. It's a major hub for the project and for the site. Any equipment or vehicles that need to be maintained here would be coming into this facility.
We've got a cogen unit, which is very energy efficient, which supports our overall LEED goal for this project. But it's also wrapped in artwork. So it's just a testament to all the things that we've tried to do on this project. Behind me is the return to US bridge. So this is located after Canadian Customs, but before the toll booth, and provides a path to return to the US. For any traveler that happened to cross the bridge but has decided that they don't want to enter Canada, they can choose to use this to return to the US. It's also a pathway for vehicles that have been refused entry to Canada to be sent back to the US safely and effectively. So this has been designed into the road network on the port of entry so that you merge right into the outbound lanes.
The Canadian port of entry will create a customer-centric experience for all travelers. With an eye on the future, the Gordie Howe International Bridge will contribute to economic growth by strengthening the fluidity and resiliency at the Windsor-Detroit trade corridor, seamlessly connecting North America. See you when we are ready for business in fall 2025.